Well, it's not bad, but even though you can make the argument that we did get progress in this episode because the freeway shared idol has finally been activated, in many ways, I don't really feel like much happened in this that wasn't just a repeat. Now, starting into next week, there is potential for that to happen with the merge or try mix up that's going to happen. And if you're wondering, well, wait a minute, how did you not know if you watched the episode? It's because I don't watch the next time bits. Just like when they were doing the previously on segments. So after they changed it from a very objective recap to specific recap, it wasn't a good idea for me to start watching it because I'd be able to gain insight as to what they were going to focus on in that episode. So coming up, same thing with the next time bits. I've been able to guess too much because they make it so obvious. So I don't watch those anymore. But mathematically, as I said, there has to be a mix-up now because if Green had lost the immunity challenge in the second episode, like they have with every episode after it, then they'd be down to just one tribe member right now. Mathematically, something has to happen, and odds are it's going to be a merge given how we've had several seasons that have either started off with 18 people and merged with 12 people, or were going to merge at 12 people, but then circumstances happened. We've had like 3 times where that second one has happened. Philippines, Cagayan, Ron, right? So something is really going to happen next week with all this stuff that's going on, and then Blue is going to have to finally do some work unless it ends up not being a merge, but I do think it will be a merge, and then it's a try mix-up, and then Blue just happens to stay together, but the odds of that are almost impossible. Almost. Right. So, but even then, when Blue starts doing something, we're going to have to rule out some people here because Danny, this guy is way too likable and does not seem capable of really adding anything to his resume. Best he can get is third place in this game with no votes, but most likely he's going to get booted. Nasir, his edit is really setting himself up to be a big target that is going to make moves, but then is going to get booted partially into this merge, assuming the merge starts next week. Heather, she's not going to be able to do anything. Just one of those people that walks onto this beach and has a 0% chance of winning this game. Yes, some people like David are able to turn it around. Her, I don't see it at this point. Especially given how much we're into this competition in terms of days. Because the amount of people, I mean, given the shorter amount of days, it's the amount of people here isn't reflective. Right. And then Erica, we really need to keep an eye out on her because her placement in this game is going to be really interesting. Sydney, and then that other guy that from Blue that I haven't mentioned, they have the potential to have like any sort of fate happen to them. So that's why I'm not describing them in detail. See what I mean? But in a way, it is kind of nice that Blue got to this point without going to Tribal, because I actually don't think this is going to be a true, huge self-destruct, shall we say, like with, best example I can give is Tandane, unfortunately, because that's the only situation where we've had a tribe get to emerge without losing. I'm thinking that they're just going to be doing the same gameplay that they would have done, it's just with more people now. What? Because, I mean, like, there's all kinds of times where inferior tribes just stick together and then they don't. Right? Whew, because in many ways you would have figured that Beauty would have stuck together back in Korean. That didn't happen, right? Development on the Yellow Tribe. Xander, man, you're really shooting yourself in the foot here. Like, I thought you were at least doing a good job of trying to be honest with everyone in your first couple of episodes, and now people just seem to be using you. Now, granted, with whatever mix-up is going to happen next week and the fact that you can vote again with this shared idol, that does give you more ability, but I don't know. I totally expect there's got to be another train wreck. We'll see, though. And it's really interesting, this dynamic of the free way shared idol, because it seems like, based on how I'm interpreting this, it isn't bring all things together to create an idol, like sort of happened in Ko-Ron, where you could put two bits of an idol together to create a super idol. It seems like it's three different things that all have the same power, but only one of them can be used, and then it seems like you'd have to re-hide the bit that has been played, or you have to discount the other two that are in play and then just put a regular idol into play. Odds are, though, it's going to be the former, because if it's the latter, then that defeats the twist, basically. But it seems like it's really just one idol this season that's in three different parts. I know that's a little repetitive of what I said last time, but this episode made it more clear that that's how that idol behaves. And then that chick from that yellow tribe that was able to socialize with Shan, I'm going to be really interested to see what happens with her. And then her advantage, I don't think that this one advantage is necessarily overkill, because it's one question to one player at one time throughout the entire game. The odds are so big that it could go wrong that it's a total crapshoot, just like with a shot in the dark. I don't see how that's over the top by any stretch of the imagination. And given how long we've gone without things being used, I think there's a decent possibility we could get even further without anything being used. That's going to be really interesting to see. Dynamics on the Green Tribe. I was only able to read Ricard, and it was pretty clear that he was going to be voting for Jean. Jean, though, I couldn't read because it seemed like she was slipping out again, even though she has every right to. I mean, like, anyone that she could have potentially worked with, she just kept losing her options, like with JD. She was actually going to try and use him, but Shan got to him first, and then she loses Brad, makes a last-ditch effort to be better, and that's what gets rid of her and JD, but Shan, I guess, either wanted to work with Ricard a little bit more, or wanted it to appear that she was working with Ricard and then get rid of him later, because the way that she's describing her relationship with him to that chick from the Yellow Tribe? Again, we gotta wait. Right. So, yeah, that about sums it up. I know that I didn't discuss the challenge that much, but that's because it was obvious that Blue wasn't going to lose, and while I was a little surprised that Yellow won, especially given the lead the other two tribes had on them, I was actually okay with either of them going to Tribal, because I thought that would be interesting, especially since, again, Blue didn't get enough. Right. And, how do I feel about this whole season? I'm definitely not able to analyze it in as good of a way as I would like, because of normal life just taking a toll on my mind, not really being able to watch TV shows that much, because this show is pretty much the extent of my TV watching these days, because I don't have a lot of time. I could make a little bit more, but it's not worth it, especially if it involves me putting chores and exercising out of the way, but I'm enjoying it. I do think eventually it'll fit into Survivor history, but not because of how the game is changing, but just because of time. Because there were a lot of people that would like calling HVV too crazy, but once you got to like let's just say Caramone, suddenly we're more accustomed to HVV gameplay. We just didn't realize it. Then Cambodia comes along, suddenly HVV looks tame. Huh? Right, just time is going to help with this season. And even then, I don't think the gameplay is that much higher level. Just so far, we've only seen potential for it to be higher level, like with Blood vs. Water. That season had potential for the game to be much higher level, but other than Rupert switching out with his wife, it was practically normal. Well, I don't think throwing the idol clues in the fire really counted because one of the two idols were found without clues, along with one of the times that the idol was re-hidden, so, Right. I do think eventually something different is going to happen, but it's just going to be one moment. That's my thinking right now. Right. I've got too much dead going on here, so I'm just going to end it. See you next time.